Fans, we are back live on thehannibaltv.com with an extremely special interview tonight from the perspective of myself and the big money players, and most notably for Mr. Rene Dupree. I am very pleased to welcome the first time I've had a chance to interview this man, but he is known as the Prodigy, Nathan Banner. Nathan, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wanted to talk about, which we'll get into in a bit, the logistics around how you came to be the newest member of my stable, the Big Money Players, and in response to some pretty grievous actions on the part of Mr. Dupree. But I wanted to give the fans of the channel a bit of a background in terms of you and your career, which is quite accomplished. We'll get into some of the names that you've been in the ring with and defeated. But before we get into all of that, could you talk about whether you were a fan of the professional wrestling business growing up?
Yeah, definitely. Always been a fan of professional wrestling as a kid. Growing up, definitely really into Macho Man. But even to this day, my favorite wrestler has been Shawn Michaels. I've always wanted to emulate Shawn Michaels as best possible. I'm 6'4", but I'm agile on my feet. I think that's definitely what got Great North Wrestling's attention when they reached out and brought me in. But I've always Triple H. I've been a fan, but definitely Shawn Michaels for me. That's just been the GOAT for me. And obviously, I'm a big fan of other wrestlers. I incorporate some of Magnum TA, obviously some of Ric Flair. Big fan of Dusty, but by far, there's no one can touch him in the ring. On the mic, maybe not as much, but in the ring, just he's Picasso. Like Shawn Michaels is just the GOAT.
Mm-hmm. What was it? Was there a particular moment, or did you always know that you were going to pursue pro wrestling as a business? What was there something that clicked, or was that just something that was always a given in your life?
For me, I've always loved professional wrestling. I never really knew anything else other than TV. My family all thought I was weird. I would just even with like non-wrestling toys or GI Joes or anything, I'd have my own little wrestling matches and things like that. But for me, I've always enjoyed it. I've always said, "Oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that." And I'd probably say about sixth grade, I got a chance to meet one of my closest friends in the business and outside of the business. He's Jay Lethal. So him and I met each other in sixth grade, and I found someone that was just like me, had a passion and love for the business. At that time, like Lethal had tons of tapes and things like that. I never really got a chance to get any collections up until I got older and was able to buy my own things. But I got a chance to watch a lot of old school things. I think honestly, I've always known about WrestleMania and things like that, but never had an opportunity to watch maybe like WrestleMania 1 through 10 or things like that at that time. And I got a chance to just catch up on wrestling because of Jay. So obviously now with the network, things are even better. But for me, until about sixth grade, that's when I was like, man, I can do this. I want to do this. Like we started play wrestling. Like everybody would just act like wrestlers. We'd have our own matches, whether it was in school, outside of school, on trampolines, any chance we got to.
Mm-hmm. So how did you land on a training school, and can you describe that process as it laid out for you?
Sure. I got a chance. So growing up as a kid, always told my mom I want to do professional wrestling, want to do it. She never supported me on it. I remember one time we were in Costa Rica, and then I don't remember if it was through, I think it was through like Instant Messenger at the time. Jay had told me he had won like a Tough Enough that Jersey All Pro was doing. So that's when he started breaking into the business. I think we were about 16, 17. He started training, going to Bayonne. That's when he would start training. My brother-in-law at the time, my sister's husband, actually convinced my mom to finally let me go to go train. So Lethal's dad would pick me up on the way to taking Jay. So he would just drive up and take us both to Jersey All Pro. So that's where I actually started. A lot of people don't even know that. Um, I ended up hurting my knee maybe about a month into training, just messing around outside, doing dumb kid stuff, and that put me out for some time. Um, and then it's funny, later on in my story, that knee is going to end up costing me a lot. But with Jay and I, we got a chance to, like, we've always been close, but we've always bonded like brothers when it came to wrestling. But a couple years later, I got a, I decided to just try wrestling again. Went to ECPW with Gino Caruso. And at that time, Jay started training people at AWA, which would eventually become Ace Pro Wrestling in North Jersey. If you're not familiar with it, you'll soon find out why. Jay is like, hey, come over here and then I'll finish training you. So I ended up going to Ace Pro Wrestling and ended up finishing my training there. So from there, I've gotten a chance to train with so many more people. But Jay definitely crossed all my T's and dotted all my I's, and I had my first match with them.
I understand that you had some involvement with the WWE system and
Yeah.
had some tryouts. I wanted to get your memories of that and how that fell into place. But
Hmm.
apparently, you were at a tryout where Hannibal was also, and there was a bit of an incident there. Maybe you could
Oh.
reiterate that story.
It's funny. I get asked this question every single time at Great North Wrestling because I was there to witness the famous Hannibal tryout. I even think I'm pretty sure Jeremy Prophet has even touched base on this, but yeah, we were all brought down for a tryout. I was down there. I remember at the time I'm watching Hannibal, and for whatever reason he just rubs me the wrong way. And I tell Norman, I was just like, Norman Smiley. I was like, hey, let me get in the ring with this guy. Like, I just want to teach him a lesson. And he's like, no, relax, relax, relax. He's like, you're here for something else. You're here for something else. So Hannibal gets in the ring. He starts working this kid. And the first thing they said was no chops. They did not want any chops during any of the tryouts. And like, they just wanted all of us to be safe and things like that. Hannibal during this time is just beating the living shit out of this kid. Oh, pardon my language, but just
Okay.
beating the living shit out of this kid, chopping him, punching him, everything. The punches were work, but the kid's probably 2 minutes into the match, his chest is all busted open. Somehow during this kid's comeback, he pops Hannibal right in the ear, and you just see Hannibal's face. If you have never seen Hannibal upset, you'll know when he's upset. And when I tell you, I've never seen someone get their ass beat this bad. He ripped the kid's shirt. Kid's bleeding from his face. Kid's bleeding from his nose. Like, kid was just busted open. Match ends. Hannibal just goes screaming, trying to fucking kill this kid, and the kid goes running backstage. Steve Kerr and everybody's trying to calm him down. They're like, "Yo, what is your problem?" He's like, "The kid. He's so unsafe." Mind you, the kid is covered in blood, and Hannibal's just holding his ear. But what made it even funnier is maybe about 10 minutes before the match, Pat Patterson is just chewing us all out. He's like, can you guys show me something different? Like, all I see is the same old moves, same old things. He's like, I'm bored. Hannibal comes out, does what he does. After the kid goes running, it just gets quiet. Pat Patterson goes, that was different. A huge pop, huge pop. So he definitely caught Pat Patterson's eye, and Pat Patterson definitely remembered him. But yeah, that was my experience, my first experience with Hannibal.
What stands out from your own time doing the tryouts and interacting with some of the luminaries that you mentioned there in the WWE system?
You'd be surprised how much they really want to help, how much they really want to care, how much they want to see someone succeed. Like, you see these larger than life athletes on TV, and you think they're not regular people, but they're, they're just like us. But definitely sharing a lot of time over there. they're looking for the next person that's going to take this business into the next 10, 20 years. Like you look at guys like Cena, guys like Roman, what they've done in this business, all they want is to pass the torch eventually to the next person just to carry on where this business is going. Like who would have ever thought the McMahon family would no longer own WWE? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like look at like they used to talk about how the company is a multi-million dollar company, or Vince McMahon is a millionaire who should be a billionaire. Look what the company's worth now. Like look at the things that they're doing, the places they're going. Like they're no longer filling up little arenas; they're filling massive stadiums, and like cities are bidding to get WrestleMania. Like we're talking about Super Bowl numbers now; it's 2 days. So like you'd be so surprised how much these legends or how much these people we see on TV just want to help and want to see someone grow and progress.
Absolutely. So, what I understand that when you were at doing the tryout thing, that you know basically it went really well. What was the sequence of events for you? Did you think at one point in time that they were going to offer you a developmental deal, or
Yeah.
did they?
No, I wholeheartedly believe they would. My day one, so that was a different tryout that I had with. Was that the same one? No, so I was brought back for another tryout after that one. I had a couple different tryouts, but the most recent tryout of memory, I was there. Adam Cole was there. Sean Spears was there. Samurai Del Sol was there, who would end up being Kalisto. Um, yeah, quite a lot of guys. About maybe about Bull Dempsey was there. Him and I were actually roommates. But they had a lot of guys there. I killed it day one. Day two, I ended up blowing out my knee that I ended up messing up prior to, well, when I was in Jersey All Pro, but it was outside. But ended up blowing out my knee. Day three promo class, killed it. And I probably, to prepare for that tryout, I had dropped about 100 pounds. Was probably in the best shape of my life. Doing two-a-days, doing Insanity, doing P90X, doing everything I could to prepare. But it was just too much too fast. And we were doing maybe 10, 11 hours worth of a tryout, like no breaks. Like we got a chance to take a break, but nobody's going to get out the ring. So we were in there just going crazy, and my knee gave out. Couldn't do anything day two, and day three I smashed it on promo day. Still expected a call, but I was just told heal up and try again. And then just nothing else has come to fruition since then.
Well, you certainly made a name for yourself in the independents, and we'll get into your lengthy history in
Hmm.
GNW, which fans of the Hannibal TV are well aware. Your matches are on the channel, and we're reposting a lot of them. I think what jumps out, at least when I was looking for someone to have my back after being assaulted so grievously and unnecessarily, was the fact that you bring that size to the table, but amazing. You've got strong fundamentals, and you're very, very light on your feet and acrobatic. That seems to me to be something that makes you stand out from the field today. Of no disrespect, but there's a lot of small wrestlers that don't pass that eye test. And I've called you a monster of the midway, which I think is a very apt description. Does the fact that you have, you work, you are a big man, but you work this really athletic acrobatic style? Is that something that you just developed over the years, or was that natural for you?
So for me, it was definitely something that was always natural. I was always an athlete. I think I started incorporating some of at least my agility when training with Lethal. Like you guys all know that Lethal's light on his feet, and he was obviously showing us everything, training us and things like that. But he'd have me do a leapfrog, and I'd jump higher than he would. Like he taught me how to backflip. He taught me how to do a shooting star, things like that. Like things I'm not supposed to be doing, I was able to do. So first thing Lito said, like, because I can safely do it, he's like, do it, do it. Like, there's so many big guys in this business. There's nothing that makes any of them stand out.
Oh, we seem to have lost the feed. You're back.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
No worries.
Um, yeah, so like Lito was just like, yeah, definitely do it. Like, so I'd throw something here, throw something there, see how it goes, and I'd land it safely. No one would get hurt. That was always my priority. I'm a big guy. The last thing I want to do is hurt somebody. So, I started throwing more and more things. Started doing things that people were surprised I could do. And it started catching people's eyes. I got a chance to travel just because of my agility, because no one's really seen a guy that's 6'4" or 6'3" do a dive or do a backflip or do a shooting star, things like that. So I leaving my feet isn't a problem. Just making sure the person that's going to be there on the receiving end is definitely not getting braced. It can brace for the impact, but can go home at the end of the night. That was always my number one thing.
Well, we'll talk about how maybe we're going to turn it up a notch for June 29th at the Napanee Schools Out Slam here in the main event against Mr. Dupree. But wanted to ask you about your time in Japan and how
Okay.
that came about and what you experienced there.
Yeah. So they selected about they Pro Wrestling 01 had a camp. They selected six of us from there. The most notable names: Kyle Matthews, somewhere in the Midwest. Actually, also Awesome. Was it Awesome Andy? I think his name was Awesome Andy. And also Pepper Parks, who's I believe in AEW as the Butcher or something like that. Not too familiar, but yeah,
The
those were
Blade.
probably
Yeah.
the Blade. There you go. So those are probably the most notable people that I can remember. Um, yeah, the guys were decent in the ring, but we all had a good time. We got a chance to learn, got a chance to work with Tanaka, got a chance to work with Tani. Like just got a chance to do Pro Wrestling 01. We did a couple shows in Pro Wrestling 01, but for me, I think my favorite was working Pro Wrestling Hustle. I got a chance to work in Kurgan Hall. That was definitely a big deal for me. That was definitely on my bucket list.
Mm.
But just the overall experience, the overall just how you were treated out there, like it was just phenomenal. Like I can't say anything bad about my time in Pro Wrestling 01. I can't say anything bad about my time in Hustle. I can't say anything bad about my time in Japan. I look forward at any opportunity going back for whomever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Well, in terms of that hardcore style, Tanaka must have been a war with yourself.
Um, I'll be honest with you, Tanaka. Tanaka was no joke. I got out of a 13-hour plane ride. We went straight to the dojo. Um, Tanaka was leading training, and he says, "Do 500 squats after a 13-hour plane ride." So he was definitely no joke. He's the utmost professional. So is everyone there. But like that man is no joke. Like warm ups were 500 squats, 250 push ups, and 250 lunges on each leg just to warm up.
Wow.
So is I gotta. It's funny because I think it was maybe about a week into training. They put a bull rope on the floor, and they said if any of us can jump the bull rope when it's laying on the floor, we wouldn't have to do training that day. All six of us tried. We could not get our legs to jump a bull rope that was laying on the floor. Like it was the worst, but I loved it, and even though it was a lot of ice, a lot of icy hot, a lot of Tiger Bomb, I'll do it in a heartbeat.
In terms of your involvement with Great North Wrestling, can you talk about how that came about, and then we'll get into some of the notable opponents that you've been in the ring with, and your title history in Great North Wrestling as well. But take us back to the start.
So I think it was for the Macho Man Memorial Show. They were looking for an opponent for Hannibal, and just no one wanted to step up. Um, they reached out to me with an offer. I accepted the offer, and I remembered Hannibal from that tryout. So I didn't know what to think because I knew I didn't have good feelings for him, and then I got a chance to talk with Jeremy Prophet prior to the show, and he was just like, "You're in for a good one tonight." So me and Hannibal went in there, and I'll be honest with you, anytime I've been in the ring with Hannibal, it's been magic together. We I don't know if we complement each other or it's just he knows I'm going to give it back right back to him. So Hannibal will give it as much as he'll take it. So he's never going to back down, and he knows I'm not backing down. So it was we had an amazing show that day. We had a great turnout, and Hannibal and I killed it. So that was definitely a good experience. That's how that was my start to Great North Wrestling. Um, I do believe I think the contact came from Lethal because I know he was booked on the show. But I sent over some stuff, and maybe within a day or two, we got the deal done.
Yeah, I think when I was looking for someone to come in and fill this role in the Big Money Players, the match that really jumped, in addition to your promo skills, the match that jumped out, and just because of what you're saying there, that you're in with one of the toughest customers of all time, and you certainly, I believe it was Hawkesbury, you
Yep.
certainly. You certainly gave as good as you got. So that was definitely a feather in your cap from a scouting perspective. But I know you've wrestled a number of names, and I'll just talk about a couple of them and get
Before you
your
do,
memory.
before you do get in that, is a quick story, Jack, that you may want to hear. After that match with Hannibal, I go backstage and Lanny Poffo pulls me aside and just takes me into a locker room and talks to me for about 25 minutes about how he's never seen anything like that, both from Hannibal and myself. But he purposely pulled me aside and was just he thanked me. He thanked me for just giving all that I had, but he was very impressed. Um, he was a bit surprised that I hadn't been signed at the time or things like that, but he definitely had a good maybe about 25, 30 minute conversation with me and just giving me some tips, some pointers and things like that. But he it was definitely a night to remember for myself because I thought Hannibal and I tore down the house. Lethal definitely gave me a big hug after the match. He was super happy with it. Um, but just that conversation with Lanny Poffo, mind you, it was the first time I had met Lanny, and it was this. I was speechless. So
What an honor.
yeah, definitely.
You have, as I've stated, a number of standout matches in Great North Wrestling. One being your match that I also checked out early against Too Cold Scorpio, a veteran, and what a talent. Do you have any recollections of that particular encounter?
Yeah, I might still have the scar on my lip. Definitely got a nice shiner on my lip from that match. Yeah, I remember got a chance to get in the ring with them. He ended up needing a little bit of help to leave the ring. Maybe a little prelude of what Rene Dupree's in store for. But yeah, we got a chance to get in the ring, and I let him know this is your time's over. There's definitely a chance for me to step up, chance for me to showcase my talent, chance for me to show what I had, and you got to put old Yeller down. So he had to
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm. What about another veteran and another legend? That would be Mr. USA Tony Atlas.
Oh, Tony Atlas. Ah, the list goes on. I tell these guys, I don't know if they're looking for one more payday because they know they're going to get it with me in the ring with them, but I let them know the time's over. Like I respect everyone in this business. I appreciate for what you've done in this business. Tony Atlas, I was definitely a big fan of his, but hey, same result. Same result. He wasn't able to walk back out of the ring. Let him know. Like it's when that bell rings, Rene Dupree. The 29th is coming, so it's be sure to watch. To those listening, be sure to watch. To those in attendance, it's not going to be a pretty sight.
Well, and that's that's part of the reason why I'm really really shaking my head at him Rene making a an enemy out of me for no reason. I'm a very sportsmanlike individual. I don't believe in breaking the rules, and I thought, okay, so Mr. Dupree, he's on a quite a run. He's having a career resurgence. He's very looks like $1 million, but he's also a bully. And what do you do when you're dealing with a bully? You get a bigger bully,
Definitely.
and that's yourself.
Yes, sir.
In terms of more recent matches, I know before COVID you're in the ring with the great British Bulldog Junior Harry Smith, and that was one heck of a physical encounter. Do you have any recollections of that one in particular?
Yeah, definitely do. That was my last match in Great North Wrestling, and definitely my last match that I had in recent memory. Um, I I had no business being in the ring with him that night. I was beat up, but I was not going to get another opportunity to work him. So we definitely went in there, and he was a better man. But he knows he's got a receipt coming. Uh, 5 years, I got a chance to heal up, and it's coming. Whether it's in GNW or not, he's definitely got a couple receipts coming to him.
Well, we had Harry on the Smith Falls show last year, and definitely that's one of the matches, in addition to several, that the Great North Wrestling Executive Committee is looking at in the future. I'd love to see that one again. You held gold in GNW, the TV title,
Yes,
and
sir.
you had a quite a program with a guy that also last May was wrestled for us, Wes Briscoe. Do you have any thoughts on that program that you had, and what it was like to carry that title so proudly?
Um, be honest with you, getting an opportunity to work Wes was definitely one of the guys I wanted to work. Um, when I knew he was coming into Great North Wrestling, I was extremely excited. Um, maybe some in part, I do have a personal relationship with Gerald Briscoe, which is his father. Jerry Briscoe is actually the one that facilitated me getting my last tryout with WWE. He was definitely a big part of me just getting picked. You know what I'm saying? They do have quite a selection of people when they do bring in talent, and Jerry Briscoe definitely was there. We still text every now and then. Um, but yeah, when I got a chance to work with Wes, it was exciting. Um, just Wes is a hothead. So
Mm.
don't get on his mean streak. But no, I definitely enjoyed my time with Wes. Definitely great talent. Hope to see him again down the line. Hope to share the ring with him again. Nothing but great things to say about him.
Mhm. So COVID hit. You were off, like a lot of us, ceased operations. You
Hmm.
were healing up. What When I contacted you, what was the catalyst that made you decide, you know what, I'm going to come back and do what I do best, and that's destroy people in the ring? What was it that made you decide now it's time to come back?
I'll tell you this. I've been considering it for quite some time. Um, I still follow GNW, so I saw you guys are running back up again. Did a couple more shows, but Jack, we got to call a spade a spade. Not sure if you've seen Jerry Maguire, but you definitely showed me the money, brother. So you're a businessman, as am I. And Rene Dupree, this isn't personal. It's just business. But on the 29th, you'll definitely realize what happens when you mess with Jack and the big money players.
Well, it isn't personal, and it honestly it wasn't personal for me either. But when you step that across that line, and you cross me for
Off the
no
boss.
reason, then there's going to be consequences. So when we had the discussion, I automatically got very excited because Rene Dupree has his eyes on the Canadian title right now that's held by Magna McLaren of the big money players. But in order to get that shot, he's going to have to get through you. And what we've talked about off air is not only do I want him out of Great North Wrestling, we're not even going to have to worry about him in the Canadian title. That'll be in the archive. But I want him, and I know you're professional, but I'll tell you what he did to me. He concussed me with my briefcase. I was suffering for 2 weeks. That's a shoot with headache symptoms. Wasn't a good situation. So I'd like for you to maybe make an exception and take care of Mr. Dupree, period. Have you ever, I take it you've never wrestled Rene, but you're aware of his credentials, etc.
Oh, I'm definitely well aware of Rene's credentials. I believe he got signed at 18, 19. I definitely followed his career. Great talent. Um, but when you cross the boss, Rene, you got to have deep pockets, my man. Exception or not, June 29th, I'm not coming. I'm not coming to put on a show. I'm not some circus animal or carnival freak. Mm-mm. I'm coming for a fight, Rene. You said it yourself on your little podcast the other day. You don't expect any high flying, any. I don't, you can expect my fist in your face. I'll tell you that. You can definitely expect my boot in your face. I'll tell you this, Rene. I've said it to countless legends that I've stepped foot in the ring with. You don't belong in the ring with me. No one does. And on June 29th, you're just going to be another victim that realizes that I am violent by nature and destructive by choice.
So I guess fortunately, the Strathcona Paper Center in Napanee, where the event's taking place 1 week from tonight, we're close to a medical facility, and we'll have the ability to get once you're done with him, we'll have the ability to get him there swiftly. I don't think
Send
he'll.
them, send them to the morgue. It's a lot closer.
Well, that's a good option too. But regardless, it won't be on his own power. And then we'll look at other things for you because Rene Dupree is just the stepping stone for you in Great North Wrestling. I've got a lot of plans for you as my personal problem solver, and the fact that the message is going to go out, whether it's Rene Dupree, whether it's any of the superstars that we bring into Great North Wrestling that think that they can take liberties with Jack Kilby, that ain't happening. That ain't happening ever again. Thanks to this man who's going to be extremely well paid, but also looking towards other things in Great North Wrestling, which not only in Great North Wrestling, but in the business in general. Do you have any goals that you'd like to achieve other than the storied career that you've had already?
To be honest with you, I definitely feel I definitely have some unfinished business. I said it during my last interview. Half the guys that are on TV I've either worked with or helped, had some type of training with, or things like that. Um, be honest with you, we'll see where it takes me. I could definitely see myself going back to Japan. Um, Definitely want to move across Canada some more. See where that takes me. But be honest with you, right now this isn't this isn't about love or passion for the business. It's time to get mine. So whoever's going to open up their pocketbooks, whoever's going to open up their wallets, that's fine by me.
Well, and I think it's a very wise investment because, like I've said, I run a pretty professional tight ship, but there's those like Rene Dupree that think that, you know what, the rules don't apply to them and they can do whatever they want. But he's going to be made an example of on June the 29th. We see the poster here. You are at the top as being in one of the main events. We've also got ECW legend, the original Angel Kingpin Medina, putting up his hardcore road trip title against Big Daddy Roy. We're going to have ladies action, the return of the Blood Hunter Hannibal in a much anticipated return to action. And of course, the last match ever of Mario Mancini, who will be accompanied by Pretty Paul Roma of WWF and WCW fame. So it's all happening June the 29th, Napanee, Ontario. Tickets are on sale now at ticketweb.ca, but we will also have them at the arena. Before I let you go, and thank you so much for your time tonight, I wanted to ask the pretty much the obvious question, and I'll take myself out of the screen when you have final words for Mr. Dupree. And the question, the obvious question is, do you think, when all's said and done and he's on his way at best to a medical facility, do you think you're going to have any guilt or remorse for that? And what would you say to him just a week away before you step in the ring for his final match? I'll give you the floor, the Prodigy, Nathan.
Will I have remorse for Rene Dupree? No, absolutely not. I'm not a remorseful person. I'm not even a forgiving person. Rene Dupree, these past 5 years of my life, I've spent in anguish, misery. I lost myself. But what you did, you struck a man over the head with no remorse, no care for his well-being, no care if he was able to provide for his family. That's unacceptable to me. This man is who's helping me get back into the ring. This man is who's putting food on my table. So I take that as a personal shot at me. So if you're curious if I have any ill will towards you personally, the answer is yes. And on June 29th, you, along with everyone in attendance, will understand my pain over these last 5 years. Because what I am willing to do to you on June 29th, you're not ready for. Rene Dupree, get your deals in line. Because on June 29th, you're done.